Hi, I'm Mara Webster with In Creative Company, and thank you so much for tuning into one of our talks today. We are a year-round talk series bringing you the best creative voices across film, television, theater, and entertainment. And today we're so fortunate to be joined by the fantastic Valerie Mahaffey to talk about the film French Exit. And the first thing that I was curious about was obviously, the script was from a novel originally, and there's so much in that book that you just can't fit into the length of a film and so many internal details. So what was that journey for you in terms of still looking at it as like a source material for your character and finding some of the elements that you subconsciously wanted to bring into some of the internal moments of who she is, even if it wasn't within the script as dialogue?
Yes, that's good. Well, I read the script first, and it was pretty good. In at least for Madame Renard's character, a lot of it was there. And then you're right. Then I went to the book and got to fill in some stuff. Um, and before I had read it, actually, Aza told me little clues that were just so delicious. That, for instance, Madame Renard would pretend to leave at night, but she wouldn't really. No. And then she would pretend to come back in the morning. It was just so crazy. And the number of cocktails she would make just to try to ingratiate herself to everyone, and we change it up. And it seems like she served them all day, starting with mimosas that she brought over in the, I forget if I'm supposed to reveal anything. Am I? People haven't necessarily seen it.
It'll be a mix, so
Yes.
we won't go into the ending, but we can go into a lot of the specific details throughout.
Okay. All right. But anyway, Patrick did such a good job. Well, I love the book, and he did such a good job with the script as well. I was just completely enamored with it, and I had, Aza was curious if I would like to do it. I love being invited. It's so great. But I had this wonderful talk with him, and I really dove into the script, almost what was going on in my life, this sort of existential dread I was in, which is weird for me. I'm sort of, my mother's nickname for me was Pollyanna. I was always this happy person. And I went through who am I and what am I? So when I first read the script, I was more in Frances mode. And I told Aza that I'm not like I want to play her. Michelle Pfeiffer's fine, But I just had this connection to it also from her point of view. And isn't it kind of a gift that Frances is a bit divesting herself of things, and Madame Renard is finding, they're both widows, but she's finding such new exciting things for herself, new friendships, and oh my goodness, and what an enthusiastic person she is. I love that about her.
Yeah.
So
I think it's so interesting that you were saying how you were much more in the mindset of Frances when you first read the script, because one of the things is that Madame Renard has really admired Frances for years and really had the opportunity to only ever observe her from a distance. And the movie is the first time that she gets to even be in a room and have a conversation with her. And there's that great moment where she describes watching Frances eviscerate someone in a restaurant without saying a word. And she's just always wished that she could do that. So was it actually really helpful to have gone through the script in the mindset of that character to understand so much of what it is that Frances wants for herself and kind of wishes that she had the ability to be sometimes?
wow, that's a question. I don't think I'm that smart, Mara. I don't think I know, but let me think about this for a second. One thing that I'm just going to ignore your question and tell you something.
Love it.
Is that it is such a gift sometimes to be an actor, because when it's lovely and written well like this, because you can play somebody that normally you found really annoying. I mean, Madame Renard is such a fangirl over Frances, right? Admired her forever and all that. I didn't do that in the movie. Don't worry, people. I'm not that bad. Um, but but to suddenly, as a human being, realize that I've treated people really badly. That are they're just they're just trying, and they might be at a party, and you're like, oh my God, can I get to the next room and whatever. And it's so lovely to dig into somebody and go, oh, I'm going to be nicer to that person next time, you know? And, you know, I lately I've had the opportunity to play some people. Sometimes it's just cathartic. You get to be mean and not Madame Renard, but other things I've done recently. And that's a sort of a release valve that not everybody has. Anyway, I'm so happy to be an actress at the moment. There are days when it's not good.
I also really enjoy the fact that, you know, in amongst the earnestness to just be part of a conversation with other people, at the same time, she's still, you know, when Frances is being acerbic and mocking her a little bit, or talking about having a conversation with her son that Madame Renard isn't part of, that she calls these things out. So there is that kind of quiet power and strength to her. Did you find that with the script, you were actively thinking about where you wanted to pull that into her as a character, or was it just so much in the writing already?
Nope. It was, I'm really glad you pointed that out, because she's not a pushover. You know, you'd think she would be, but she has moments of, please don't do that, which I think are lovely. But I have to tell you, Aza, our director, made, and this is a huge gift. And I will tell you something that I may have it wrong, and I'll meet him someday and he'll say, that wasn't me. But apparently Jack Nicholson said, doing a good job acting is, 10% preparation. You got to prepare, because what if you're tense and you got to deliver the thing anyway, right? But it's 90% relaxation. And that's absolutely true. Aza made it so comfortable so that I didn't necessarily have to pre-plan anything. I was there with Michelle and Lucas in that scene and wanted it to be true, and stuff would come up because I was relaxed that I didn't plan. I didn't plan it, you know? That is a fantastic thing when you've got great actors, and it starts from the top with a wonderful director who makes you feel you're doing it right. And you're like, oh, okay, good, Yeah.
It also sounds like, from the way you've talked about this role, that was the case with the comedic element as well, because it actually isn't something where you're playing any of the comedy to try and land a punchline or to make people laugh. It's that it actually comes from the truth of who she is and the emotion of these characters. So was there any consciousness at all, or was it just feeding into who she was, and that's why it lands for us as an audience?
I thank you for saying that, because that was exactly what I wanted. I didn't, because man, I know how to do a sitcom and da-dum-bum, you got that rhythm that you've got to have in your mind, and I can be funny, but I was determined that this is not it here. I've got to be true to this person. And so I just wanted to, I just sound so full of it. I wanted to honor her. I did. And honor truthfulness, and like that.
There's so many beautiful lines as well written into this character that tell you so much detail about who she is. And one of the ones that really struck me was the moment where she's talking about, do you ever feel that adulthood was thrust upon you when you weren't even ready for it yet, and that you're still a child? And I thought that line tells you so much of how she views herself in the world, and also like how she feels socially in interactions as well, that she never quite feels adequate enough around other adults. So how did you kind of take a lot of details, like a singular line like that, and really think about the overall big picture that it was giving you of who this character was?
You give me way too much credit. I I am not smart enough to see the big picture. It's like I come up with this little piece of the puzzle, and truthfully, that section, I mean, she sees Malcolm, Lucas Hedges' character, and and really she has time to see that this is a lost boy. And I think she, probably because it's Francis's son, she's also a fan of him, you know, and she wants to be friends with him. But she really sees something in that moment of how lost he might be. So yes, I'm not that clever to see the big picture, but I loved that moment. I loved sitting there with him, and you know.
And with all the scenes with the three of you, there's such a beautiful dynamic to the rapport that you have with each other. And there's so many different rhythms to it, whether it's kind of like a fast paced back and forth, or it's slower moments where they're really contemplating. Did you find that you had much opportunity to really play around with what that rhythm was going to be in scenes? Or did you really find it while you were filming, just with the way that Ozza was directing you and really just giving you the time that you needed?
He gives you the time you need. I'm glad you said that. That's another thing. I think that in that initial scene, that's where the three of us meet, it just evolved on the day. There was no planning, there was no rehearsal. But Ozza will, at moments, and I was just like, oh my goodness, because I've done a lot of television lately, and it's so fast. And, you know, can you act fast? Be good, but act that line faster. Okay. But in this, I saw him say it to I think to all three of us, but I was shocked when he said, you know, that moment, I take as long as you want there. I'm like, what? Really? It was just beautiful that we were allowed to let things, I don't even know how to describe it, but sort of be there. That's not it exactly, but anyway.
Yeah,
He
just
gave
to
us
kind of
time.
like live and breathe and find it
Yeah,
organically.
and he can do what he wants later when he edits it, but he let it be there, you know.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
It also sounds like such a beautiful experience in that it wasn't just the collaboration with him, but he really kind of let you and all the rest of the cast feel like collaborators when it came to a lot of the other details like hair and makeup and costumes. And when you're stepping into a character and uncovering who they are, how does that really help you in terms of the details, just even through the conversations that you're getting the opportunity to have, and the fact that you get to have a voice and a say in a lot of those choices?
How did you know? That's exactly right. I mean, I was certainly with other actors, and there were no stinkers in the bunch, which is really great. Because when there are, you're kind of like, oh, I wish they'd be quiet. But no. But beforehand, even with hair and makeup and with Jane Petrie, the costume designer, oh my goodness, the collaboration and the allowing of that was just genius. There was a point I very much wanted, this is always it's not secret, but a desire of mine to not let the costume say, or the makeup say, she's silly ahead of time. Do you know what I mean? And she so honored that. I said, I don't want to telegraph anything that about this. I want it to come from her. Hair and makeup, same thing. And then she had one costume that it was great. It was like from the 80s, and some party costume that maybe Madame Renard still had in her closet. And I just didn't want to wear it. It was too, and the next time we met, that scene hadn't come up yet. She said, I knew you didn't like it. Let's do this other thing. I was like, oh, I love you. Thank you. You know, that is this a story that's just going too far afield? But anyway,
No, it's perfect because it says so much about the character and how you saw her.
Yes, she wasn't just silly. She wasn't, you know, at all.
Yeah. I also enjoy, it's not a silliness to it at all, but I really enjoy the fact that you find a lot of ways in which she doesn't feel a need to constrain herself to how society thinks she should behave. I'm thinking about the moment where she dips her finger into a glass and, she doesn't think that that that's something that she does frequently. Did you consciously think about a lot of those little actions and moments, or did you just find them?
That was one of those, I was relaxed and it just happened. A lot of stuff Patrick wrote in, but stuff like that, it just did it. Yeah.
Yeah. I also wanted to talk about the really fantastic seance scene and just overall the fact that when Madame Renard is presented with the idea that this cat is Francis's dead ex-husband in the form of a cat, that she never questions it. And she always goes along with it. She takes it on face value. And I was curious about that because I was interested in whether you saw it as something that said a lot about her belief, her spirituality, her soulfulness, and how she sees things, or just kind of like her open willingness to go along with anything.
I think that's it. She's just this open vessel to things. And it just makes it wonderful that she gets to meet the husband too. And, and in general, I just think Patrick, I heard him interviewed one time. And in most of his books, there are these little strange things that he just likes to have in there. And I love it that Madame Renard doesn't, she just goes with it. But they kind of all do. They in that world they find it, so they're a little surprised, but it's sort of unremarkable that okay, there's this cat.
Yeah. And it starts out, that she has Francis and her son come into her world. And then through that, peripherally, all of a sudden, she's in a completely full house full of all these other people. So how did you think about the evolution of her as a character as she starts to be surrounded by more people after a period of time where she's been so lonely after the death of her husband, and how each of these characters bring out different sides of her?
You're just too smart, Mara. No. These are terrible questions. They're too hard. Here's the thing. I can do things in retrospect, and I realize that it's heaven. It's just heaven to her to have all these people around and this possibility of romance, maybe with but I won't say, and just friendships, and it's a heaven. It must be for her. She does. It was a very big clue in that first scene where she answers very boldly, really, to something that Francis says, and she just says, "I'm lonely," and just says it. Not like, ooh, but she says it, and it's the truth of it,
Yeah. I actually feel like the fact that you're saying how you see certain things in retrospect speaks so much to your skill set as a performer, though, because it really kind of expresses the way that you clearly work very intrinsically and just very instinctively find a lot of elements to characters as you're playing them. Have you always found that that's been the way that you've found the window into characters?
Probably.
Yeah.
It might be a little selfish, I suppose. But no, it's kind of like Ozza has the big picture. Patrick DeWitt has the big picture, or in whatever it is. And I just fly in and I don't know. Yeah, it's sort of intuitive.
I also wanted to ask a little bit about some of the details of your process. I've heard you talk about how one of the things that you do on set is that you always want to have your sides there just so that you kind of mentally know that it's there as a backup if you need. And
how do you know this? You saw me in something talking.
Interviews on the internet.
Oh my goodness.
It's a great resource.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, were you finished?
Yeah.
About that?
Well, I was interested in just kind of that and what some of the other things are that no matter what the character, what the role or the project is, that you just always want to have as part of your process.
Yes. Okay. And that's, Michelle and I share this. I was because she's iconic and oh so lovely, but on the very first day, I didn't have I didn't have my sides with me. People that watch it, if they don't know, it's pages from the script. And you want them there because I want them there. Because sometimes, I mean, the fact is you have to say the lines and you might, how's that go again? Oh, yeah. And then I didn't have them. And she's such a sweetheart. She saw the look in my face and I couldn't see on the little pieces of paper that I had. And she said, oh, I have them. Do you want them? She does the same thing. It's sort of a what do you call it? A safety blanket. And so they'd be under our seat. And sometimes I'd have them, give them to her and vice versa. And it's not cheating. It's just, it's a good thing to have it there. And I just sound so dumb right now, but it's one of the things that I like them nearby.
Yeah,
I have
absolutely. It's the safety net of just knowing that it's there if you ever need it.
It's there. What's that word again? Oh, yeah. That's the word. Okay. Yeah. And you know what? I spent too long in the theater because I don't mean that in a bad way. I love the theater and I want to go back and do things better than I did before and blah, blah. But I have been known to, because I spent so long in theater, I think I'm not good at going, oh, line, I can't break. I feel like I have to keep going. Like if it was on stage, you'd figure out a way to keep talking. I have been known to not exactly know what the word is, but I know the meaning and what I'm and I will make stuff up in the middle of things. And I know it's from that, thinking you've got to keep talking. You've got to keep doing it all. But anyway. Yeah.
But it's brilliant because it probably leads to some unexpected discoveries that you might not have found in a scene otherwise.
That's possible. Like sometimes there's a pause, while you're trying to retrieve it and people think, oh, she's deep. It's like, no, I don't have a clue what that next thing is. But that's okay.
And through playing Madame Renard in this movie, what are the places that you feel like it gave you the opportunity to explore in her as a character that other characters and other projects hadn't given you?
Oh, that's I don't know. She's just so there's something so sweet about her, and I never thought of it that way. Each character, if it's a fun job, we're so damn lucky as actors to get to be different things. I've played a character recently that's just this terrible mother, terrible in the way that she has too much of an agenda for her son, and it's
on Big Sky, right?
Yes, on Big Sky. And there are, it's interesting to play somebody that doesn't realize that she's warping her child. That's fascinating and makes me go, oh, did I do that to my child? And I've come up with a theory about that, actually. It's a sort of a feedback loop. Being an actor, it's like, oh, don't do that because that's terrible. I have this new theory that children should be allowed to have their own plan. I mean, yeah, you got to keep them safe and tell them not to touch the stove and stuff. But at a certain point, you've got to take your agenda out of it. And I think they should be allowed to rebel if, if my daughter sees this, she won't mind. But she was such a good girl as a baby, as a toddler, and everybody said, "Oh, it's gonna get bad at this age. It's gonna get bad." She was very late to that party of rebelling, but it was good that she did. They need to, otherwise you end up with a son like Ronald on Big Sky. Oh my gosh.
You end up with a truck driver kidnapping young women.
Yes, that's right. That's what always happens. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for such a delightful conversation and for talking so much about the movie. Thank you, Valerie.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and thank you.